live from FishPal. Thank you for all your photographs over the weekend. This one in particular, I absolutely loved. It's from Darren Crawford, and it's a picture of his fly tying bench. He did say it was a little bit scruffy. Darren loves fishing, fly tying, and car restoration, and that's an impressive fly tying bench. I love the hooks and the materials hanging up on the wall. And he also posted another super photographs, and I really do think that we're going to appreciate this photo. It says, I just want to go fishing, or just back to normal would do. Good morning, Lee Final. Hello. It's lovely to have you on here as well this morning. So I am basically, do keep sending in your photographs and let us know what you're doing. Good morning, David James Murray. Got your email this morning. We are putting you into that competition as well. So do keep sending in your photographs. Please send in your photographs to myself here on FishPal's Facebook, and just direct message them to me, and I'll share the best every day. Now, you have until midnight to enter your salmon and trout flies to the lockdown fly tying competition. Thank you to Loop, Caledonia Flies, FishPal, Fishing TV for all getting involved in this and donating some fabulous prizes. For all the details on how to enter, and it closes today, lockdown fly tying competition for trout and salmon flies, just go to the top of FishPal's Facebook page, because I've gone and put the post right at the top with all the information. And huge luck. Good luck to everybody. Now, I have my guest. I'm actually just putting him into this stream. Now, today I am joined by Paul Procter, who is having a lovely cup of tea, because I can hear next to his microphone on his laptop. He's a journalist, a Wild Trout Trust vice president, AAPGAI casting instructor, just one of the Jedis of AAPGAI. He's a writer for Trout Salmon Magazine, a Mackenzie Fly Fishing Rod designer. The NX1 range of rods was created by Paul and the design team at Mackenzie, and they are the next generation from the highly successful and award-winning G2 range from Mackenzie Rods. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today, Paul.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you very much. Before we get started, can I just, can we make a tribute for Paul Lawrence, who sadly passed away at the weekend? And I'd like to sort of, can we make this show for Paul, please? He'll be sorely missed. All those fly tyers out there will, I'm a little bit emotional about it, to be honest. Everybody, all the fly tyers will know Paul. He was a wonderful guy. And yeah, we just need to remember him. Thank you, Anne.
Well, today's show is dedicated to the wonderful Paul Lawrence. And thank you, everybody, for coming on at this present moment in time. I think we're going to give some shout outs as well, Paul. We've got Alan Ward. He says, good morning.
All right. Yes, Alan. Hi.
He said, Lee Final. He said, that's not scruffy. You want to see my chaos. I'm sure you saw that fly tying bench photo, which I was quite impressed with. I love the curve on the bench, Paul, to be frank. I thought that's a good bit of wood turning to get that lovely curve. So Lee Final says, his is even messier. Scott Rutherford, he says, morning. James Pond.
Oh, Scott. Hi, Scott.
James Thompson, good morning to you all. Lee Final, hiya. I hope you're all well. Two big hearts. Jonathan Tomlinson.
Oh, hey, Jay. Good morning, my friend. Good morning.
He says, lovely thought, Paul. And he's also asked, are you on brandy already in that mug? My goodness, this feed's just getting really, really crazy. Neil Chandler, well said. Neil Smith, good morning. Ian Sean, good morning. Paul and Anne, he's looking forward to this. David Bewley from the Spey, Gordon Castle Estate, said, good morning. Mark Barrow, morning to you all. Jonathan, John Taylor, should have been our first day in Calso today. Alas, better safe. There are no bullets and no bombs, so be patient and go easy. Philippa Haig, wonderful Philippa Haig.
All right. Hi, Philippa.
Okay, Jack Metcalf, Murray McHattie, Wayne Jones. Now, you might have noticed, everybody, if you're new to this, we do say hello to everybody because this is about an 11 o'clock get together with you guys in the world of fly tying and a very special guest. Now, Paul, you go fishing every day. How are you managing?
We'll just rephrase that, Anne. I try to go fishing every day. Try to manufacture my life so I can do that. Yeah, it's been well. Look, it's tough for everybody.
I know.
You know, and we've God, I was frustrated more than anyone in the early days. I'd been in Chile, came back, and walked right into the middle of it, so I wasn't fully aware of the implications of it all. You know, so yeah, it's difficult. I mean, this is by far the longest period I can remember not being anywhere near water, and I'm actually not walking along rivers or anything because that'll just kill me at the moment. It would kill me.
Oh my goodness. And you were one of the lucky people to actually get back, because I understand, I know Marina Gibson just got back as well in time, and there were some other people who actually were still out there, out and about, in Argentina, in Chile, etc., and New Zealand.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind being stuck in New Zealand. I can camp out there, but Chile was a wee bit different, and we actually got the last flight out of Santiago to the UK. So lucky. That was by good luck rather than good judgment, Anne.
Wow, well done, and I'm glad you're back, because at least we can have you on today. This feed has just gone crazy. I will say more hellos later on, but a special hello to Gavin Brown. He's come on from Junction, so good morning, Gavin.
Gav. Hi, Gav. How are you?
Wonderful fly tyer, Gavin, as well. So how did you get into fishing? Tell us a little bit about your story, Paul.
Pretty much me for fishing. There was no influence from my father or uncles or anything like that. It was always been interested in wildlife, and initially as a kid, with some like-minded souls at school, used to go pestering animals up the fields, trying to catch rabbits and all sorts. Always intrigued by water, and ultimately, started fishing as a schoolboy. With some friends, and that was it. All self-taught.
And did you start fishing on a canal?
In a roundabout way, yes. It was Ulverston Canal we used to go to because it's public.
Yeah.
And you know, the bailiff then, you didn't have to go and buy a day ticket. You could fish on the bank with your God knows how much it was in them days for a day ticket. Something ridiculous, like 50p. You took your 50p along. If the bailiff turned up, you paid him your 50p. If he didn't turn up, you didn't pay your 50p, and happy days. You got some sweets on the way home, you know. So
what was your first fish? Was it a trout?
No, God, I wish. My first ever fish was a wee perch, and it was about that big, on a single maggot, I think. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's it. That is a quiz question, everybody. What was Paul Procter's first fish on? So when did you get into fly fishing then? Was it soon after, or what?
12 years old. How I got into fly fishing was pretty, like I said, there was no fishing influence, but I remember there used to be a series on Sunday afternoons called Out of Town.
Okay.
I remember that day really well, actually, because it had been pouring down. I wasn't allowed out. So, and my dad used to watch that, and
was that watching Jack Hargreaves?
Sorry, Anne.
Jack Hargreaves.
Yeah, Jack Hargreaves. Yeah. He was the presenter or host, if you like, and he had Barry Wellham on, believe it or not. And Barry was fly fishing, and I thought, my God, I just so want to do that. I really want to do that, and badgered my parents persuaded them to buy me some fly fishing equipment for my 12th birthday, and that's when it all started, really.
So you got a rod for your 14th birthday, and basically, tell us, what kind of rod was it? It
was a Daiwa. It was an 8'6" 5-weight. I can't remember the exact make. Had a Daiwa reel on there, and the fly line I do remember was an air cell line.
Okay.
Because even back then I was reading fishing magazines and aircell was all over the place. So I thought it was Billy Big Balls because I'd got an aircell line, you know, as my first fly line.
And so did you catch a fish straight away then?
Oh God, I wish. No, I think as you do as kids a wee bit, and obviously being a male, we know best, and didn't read any books on it. Didn't have what we have these days, like the internet tutorials, blah blah blah. So just touched or felt our way through it. I had a friend who was like-minded, and we had, I don't know, a number of trips, significant number of trips of blanks. I mean, we're doing silly things, and get this. My leader, I thought, you're going to laugh. Everybody's going to laugh. I got the fly line. I thought, how the hell did you get that through the eye of the bloody fly? You know, how crazy is that? And then monofilament. My first leaders were about a foot long or something like that. Then I thought, this is no good. Went to the library, picked up a book on it, and then learnt about leaders and things like that. Fly casting, to be fair, was one of those lucky ones. I've got very good hand-eye coordination. That came very easy to me, actually. I'm very lucky. Yeah. And then caught my first trout on a wee stream close to home, Newlands Beck. Okay. In fact, I caught two one particular night on dry fly, believe it or not. And then, yeah, I felt like $1 million. Really did. It was really good. And since sorry, Anne.
Go on. And since,
yeah, pretty much since that day, all I've wanted to do is fly fish. Obviously, then we just knew about trout, but as time's gone on and you learn more, we know there's lots of species you can target. So I'm happy just with a fly rod. Brown trout are by a country mile my favourite species. Most people who know me will vouch for that. But I like fishing for anything that'll take fly, really.
Now, Tracy Stronach, she is from Inverness. She's the mum of Gordo and Cheyenne Stronach, who came on last week. And she's actually on the committee of Inverness Angling Club, who do wonderful things for young people. What advice would you give to other young people wishing to start fishing?
That's a good question. Without doubt now is, you know, like I said, in my day, you just had books and illustrations and things like that. He's sign up to some good tutorials on YouTube, and there are a lot out there. There's, you know, everybody does it these days, and just follow those. Or arguably in that area, and who better than Scott Mackenzie up there? Just book a couple of lessons. I know what I tend to do with juniors. I give them free lessons. Often they'll come along with the father or the parents, and the parents might have a fly casting lesson. Then I spend half an hour with the youngsters, and you know, just try and encourage them. So either seek out an instructor or look at some tutorials.
And Lee Final, he says, I'm just teaching my son at the moment. He's getting there. By the time the lockdown is over, I might get him on the till with me. Great to see the younger anglers on the river.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Now, I've had Andy Buckley. He's made a comment. He says,
all right, Andy. Hi, Andy.
He says, morning, Procky. And everybody, if you want to ask Paul a question, please pop it in the feed. He said, I bet he's still going to catch a whacker from the puddles in his garden.
Oh, God, I hope so. I blinking hope so.
Now, Alan Liddle, he's come on. We're going to have Alan.
Oh, Al, good morning, Al. How are you keeping?
We're going to have Alan Liddle on one of these as well, because he's just...
Yeah, he'd be a great guest.
Yeah. Now, he said he's morning, everyone. Little late to the party, but great to see you guys. You're certainly not late at all. We spend a lot of time saying hello to everybody at the start. So we've got loads of people on here as well that are just saying hello. Pete Twins, they've come on as well. Lee Farnell, Graham Cargill, Glenn Bain, Brainbridge, good morning to you all. Paul, you started, obviously, trout fishing at the age of 14. When did you start fly tying? Was it a natural progression into fly tying as well?
Do you know what, Anne? I pretty much started initially I was using shot boat flies.
Okay.
And I did that for a season, but I've always had that sort of mindset of understanding your quarry. And when I hunted as a kid and shot and things like that, if you know your quarry's movements and so on, they're obviously easier to capture. And part of understanding trout is not just the movements, but what they're feeding on. And right from them early days, obviously way back then, it was normal to take fish. Not that I killed heaps of them, but I'd take a fish and I'd do the autopsy bit and look at the stomach contents, and quickly came to realize that what was in the stomachs wasn't being represented with the shop-bought flies I was purchasing. And within a year sort of my fly tying equipment arriving, next birthday, you guess what? I was at my parents' again for some fly tying equipment.
So there's a great story about what you used to tie your first fly with. And I think this is really great inspiration to everybody out there, because we all start somewhere, don't we? Tell everybody, what did you tie your first fly with?
Well, but believe it or not, Anne, but you know what you're like as kids, you're impatient and you decide you want something and you can't wait for it to arrive. So just leading up to my birthday, I was taking feathers out of the corner of my pillow, hand tying, holding hooks in my hand and tying with my mum's cotton, blinking at. Sadly, I never caught a fish on any of them, but I reckon you could, because they just looked a mess compared to what I was buying way back then.
Well, yeah, because your flies, you when we were chatting yesterday, you said you tie flies that you fish. Tell what is special about your flies, because they are they're beautiful.
Yeah, well, thanks, Anne. I don't think there's anything in particular special about my flies. Often I look at in other people's fly box. Alan and Al Little and I were chatting the other day. We're already scheming what we're going to do and where we're going to go once lockdown's done with. But people like Alan, they tie superb flies, and I often look in their fly boxes and think, my God, they're cracking flies. We're a little bit under, because everything's scrutinized and everybody's posting these days. The world of fly fishing is changing. So we're all proud of our work, and consequently you try and put out your best flies and things like that are immaculate. But truth be known, in my fly box, scruffy flies tend to do the business when it comes to fishing. They really do. Yeah.
And you write for magazines as well, obviously the latest edition of Trout and Salmon. You wrote a feature, Beetles to the Rescue, when difficult spring conditions make trout seek terrestrials. Paul Procter takes advantage. Tell us a little bit about this feature, because for people who don't actually have the Trout and Salmon magazine, just give us a flavour of what this feature's about, please.
Did you hear that groan, Anne? I went when you were talking that. The reason I did that.
Putting down.
The reason I did that. The weather's blinking perfect and has been for a number of days for terrestrials. I've been out in the garden and I'm seeing terrestrials buzzing over and thinking, my God, they'll be dropping on the river and the trout will be going nuts. That article pretty much came out of nothing. Usually in spring we get a lot more unsettled weather, which is good for upwing hatches, typically March browns and large dark olives early on in the season. However, they don't like sunlight, these sunny days. They tend not to hatch. There will be some, there'll be a residual amount of them that hatch, but you tend to get your best hatches when it's horrible weather. So it was really just to inspire people that, even on the sunny days in spring, there's still an opportunity to catch fish with terrestrials, those beetle patterns.
Well, this photograph is a 4-pound trout, which is
4 pound 1 ounce. That was, Anne.
Really, I'm trying to bring it as close as I can, everybody. But I've not mastered. Tell us a little bit about that fish, because that is a beautiful fish.
Yeah, that was. Thanks, Anne. That fish was tracking up the margins of a river. They're always difficult to pin down. Anyone will tell you that. Fish feeding on station is a little bit easier because it's in the same place. But that fella there, that was a male fish. He was wandering up and down the margins, and it took me a wee while to pin him down. Often you try and get on the back edge of the lowest point it will patrol down the river. position yourself just downstream of there, and it's just a waiting game, waiting for the fish to come down, hopefully rise, and then just make your cast.
Well, we've got some questions, but I'm actually going to ask David Stocker. I'm going to ask that question.
Oh, David. Hi, Dave.
Okay, Daniel Wright, lovely comment. And he said, morning, guys. Nice to see the younger generation taking an interest in fishing. His son, oh, congratulations.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Fantastic.
Oh, sweet. His son is only 5 months old at the moment, but hoping he follows in my footsteps and becomes the 4th generation in my family as a full-time ghillie boatman. And yes, and huge congratulations. I didn't know you got a little one, so huge congratulations there. And Lee Final, he says that's a brawfish. Fantastic fish.
That yeah, he's clearly a Scottish lad if he's used the word brawn.
We have lots of Scottish lads on, and it's brilliant to see the Scottish lads coming on. Now, you spend, actually, before I'm going to ask you about your time out of the country, Wild Trout Trust, you are a vice president. How did you do that?
Yeah, I'm very proud of that fact, Anne. Basically, what happened, look, I'm rubbish with dates. Don't start asking me when you did this, when you did that. The only date I'm interested in is when the wild brown trout season starts.
Not the salmon.
Going back quite a lot of years, I was at an event and the Wild Trout Trust were there, and I did a turn, a slideshow, I believe it was. But I was obviously talking and promoting wild brown trout fishing. Nothing new about that by any stretch of the imagination. However, they're quite warm to that. They invited me to do a talk for them at one of their meetings, and consequently after that asked me if I'd like to be one of the vice presidents. So something that I am fiercely proud about.
And this year's auction that finished last month, and some fabulous pots, they raised just over £70,000, and it's the second most they've raised. Last year they raised 72k, and they were saying that in these current climates, it's such a huge achievement, and it just shows how supported the Wild Trout Trust is.
Yeah, I mean, given that we were on lockdown as well, and everybody's got the think of the future and hopefully fulfill those lots at some stage. That you know, I on behalf of the Wild Trout Trust really can't thank everybody enough for that kind of support. It was truly wonderful.
Yeah. Now you spend, as I said yesterday, most of your time out of the country, and you laughed at me. Tell us where you go, Paul, because it is it's the who's who of where to fish, isn't it?
I don't know, Anne. I don't look at it like that. I mean, obviously, you know what floats my boat, and it's wild brown trout, and the bigger they are, obviously, the better. We all know that. We don't need to discuss that. So, principally, try and arrange it or try to be involved where you can find these big trout. Typically, places like Iceland, Russia, because you're talking about indigenous fish there more so than the southern hemisphere where they've been introduced. Admittedly, they are wild down there now because they're from wild breeding stock from generations ago. But if you want the sort of genuine articles, if you like, you need to be our country as well. But certainly Iceland, the wild brown trout are pretty much untampered with, as they are in parts of Russia as well. So they're really important to me, you know. And realizing that, you know, I've got to mention Matt McHugh from Fly Odyssey. Matt and I met many years ago, and I know he likes his saltwater fishing, but I know he's got a soft spot for brown trout. When he and I get together, we're like two school kids.
Yeah, well, I know that you've been Iceland, Russia, Bosnia, New Zealand, Chile. Is that just in the last year?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. And Go Fish Morris, he's come on.
Oh, Morris, how are you?
And he actually says you are a fantastic ambassador for our sport.
Oh, it's very kind. Very kind. Thank you, Morris. Appreciate that.
I have now got everybody telling me where you guys are and ladies are from, and I'm loving it because Alan Little, Scottish and proud, yes.
Yeah.
And I've also got Pontus, he's from Sweden. Ian McKenna, he says, I'm from Paul's hometown, Barra, and taught my wife, son, and daughter to fly fish, and all still do in Barra anglers. Parents need to keep doing this as the younger generation are learning more to easy carp fish. My fishing is the best. So we did have a question about carp fishing, and I've also got a question from David Stocker about mullet. You fish for carp, haven't you, on the fly?
Fish for mullet and carp. Before we get into those, Anne, just to correct Ian, I know Ian McKenna, and I know his father as well. My hometown's Ulverston. There's quite a difference for me, but I'm about to say that.
Okay, so tell us about you, because this question came up last week and I said I would mention it. And that's why one of the reasons I wanted you on as well. So carp fishing, you fish for carp on the fly. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, obviously we haven't got, I mean, you look at in Australia and parts of America and Spain as well, where they've got, if you want to call it, wild stocks of carp. So it's a lot more natural. A lot of our fisheries are commercial carp fisheries. Nothing wrong with that, incidentally. But the fish sort of get accustomed to seeing free offerings thrown in, like dog biscuits, ground bait, or pellets, or blah, blah, blah. So it makes tempting them. I've actually caught them on clink hammers in the UK, but if you want, not guaranteed, but as near as you can, you're going to have to tempt the carp up to the surface using offerings like dog biscuits or cat biscuits, and then tie deer hair flies. Just lash on, the technical term is lash on, Anne. Lash on some deer hair and just clip it into the shape of a pellet. Sounds artificial, but on the plus side, I mean, carp are tremendously strong fish. I mean, pound for pound, they really do pull hard, So if I wanted a quick fix, you can catch them on bloodworm imitations, but if you're new to it and you want almost not guaranteed, but near as damn it guaranteed sport, I would go out with a bag of dog mixers and just start introducing them along the margins and wait for the carp to find them, and then pop your imitation out there.
Well, that was a question by Nigel Bliss, and he says, thank you, Paul. David Bewley, he's one of the gillies on Gordon Castle Estate. And he says, I'm desperate to catch a carp on the fly. And bearing in mind, we're talking in Scotland here. Where's a good place to start? Do you know anywhere up north where we can get them?
And I only venture up north to fish for trout. So sadly, I'm unable to answer that. I've got then. Carp fisheries up there aren't on my radar. I'm sure there are some, but sadly,
David, I'll come back to you on that one. Good morning, Mark Smith. The McSkagit squad are in on the feed. Thank you, guys. I was wondering when you were going to come into this feed. You are involved in designing. Oh, Malcolm Anderson, he says, good morning.
Oh, hi, Mal. How are you?
You've been involved in designing some of the best single-handed rods on the market at the moment. How did you get involved with Scott Mackenzie?
Yeah, well, Scott and I go back a long way. We've known each other a lot of years. Always respected Scott as, you know, he's one of the... he's a class act with a double-handed rod. He's a good single-handed caster as well. And Scott came to me a number of years ago. His double-handed rods are well-renowned, known throughout the world. And he said, "Look, I want to branch out." And you know, it was quite flattering. He said, "I'd like to get you involved." So I sort of made a leap of faith to join the Mackenzie brand, and it's been fair play to Scott. He's given me free rein, along with the rest of the team. I've got to mention Andy Toft as well, Ian Kirkwood, but more so Andy, because Andy's a great single-handed fly caster, and along with Scott, we sort of developed the range. It's nerve-wracking stuff though when Scott and I went, and it came from sort of looking at rods and what we want to actually getting the hard copies in your hand. And Scott's saying, what do you think, Paul? And for me to design a rod, or anybody, for their own needs and their own casting abilities, not that difficult. But when you look at a wide audience of people and different tastes, and then they take into consideration it's not just a casting tool, it's for playing fish, suddenly it felt like a minefield. It was quite daunting. But Scott really encouraged me, as did Andy, and the three of us worked really well together and came out with the NX1, as you know, which is an absolute cracking product, outstanding rod. Really, really pleased with those rods.
And how did you feel using the nanotube technology? Because that's completely new for the single-handed rods, isn't it?
Yeah, what didn't jump out to me, part of my brief for myself, not Scott. Scott wasn't saying we need to make the lightest fly rod in the world or this or that. We wanted to make a good, honest fly rod for people, for a wide range of people that can use. Obviously, it's always a trade-off. The lighter you go, you're skimping on materials, and arguably rods become a little bit more fragile. However, our rods are surprisingly light, given that wasn't part of our brief. By the same token, weight of fly rods is subjective. Give you an argument there. You might have the lightest fly rod in the world, but if you put a heavy reel on that and the outfit's unbalanced, it's not going to feel comfortable. It's going to feel awkward and numb in your hands. So, you know, we're talking fractions of an ounce here, which really in the grand scheme of things don't matter. Obviously, it's different coming down from a double-handed green heart rod, which probably weighs about 2 pounds, down to something that weighs 4 ounces, but you get the picture.
And these rods are designed, whether they're for a small stream or an intimate stream, aren't they? Because you fish some really, really intimate streams. I've been lucky to fish with you once, and I tell everybody who's watching this, my actual mobile phone, when it came back with what exercise I'd done, it had actually said I'd been running, and that was just to keep up behind you. And these were intimate rivers, and was that one of the things that you wanted to make sure that you just had everything right, that whether you do a small stream to a really, really tiny stream?
Yeah, we wanted to put a range of rods out there that will cover every eventuality, really. Yeah. You know, from the 8.5 foot 3 weights and 4 weights, which are perfect for these smaller overgrown types of streams and becks, up to our 10-foot series, which are great for nymphing and dry fly fishing as well.
Well, we've had Stevie Munn's just come on this feed.
Oh, Stevie, how are you?
Good morning, Munna. And we've got loads and loads of questions that are coming in here. Nico Payton, I just want to take you back to where you fish, because Nico has said, which Highland locks would you recommend that offered the chance of a good size brownie? Basically, where would you go fishing in Scotland, Paul? Because I've sat with you on a bankside, and we've sat for about half an hour, and you've gone, no, we're not fishing here, come on, let's go, because you haven't seen the fish that you want to catch, have you?
That's you put me on the spot there, Anne, with that one.
Well, I've got you on the spot. I'm just going to give you some more feedback. Jonathan Tomlinson, who not only says you were just one of the best with the single-handed rod, which I've got to admit on that. He said you're like a racing snake on the river. Easy when he has a small backpack on his back and not a stack of camera gear behind you. If you fall behind, you stay behind. And I would totally agree with that as well. And Mark Barrett says, Paul, I do a little fly fishing, but my underwater filming is better than my fishing. Have you ever had barbel on the fly? I caught one by chance and it was insane.
I've caught them targeted, both in Slovenia and in the Pyrenees as well, and the tremendous fish on dry fly.
And you also caught salmon as well.
Moving on, Anne.
Now, Michael Lowe, he said, we're just going to start asking you some questions here. Michael Lowe, Paul, in your opinion, what is the best island to tour New Zealand, north or south? Have just returned from the north and the fish numbers were incredible. However, tempted for a return to the south. What's your opinion?
Yeah, that's it. Michael, hi, nice to see you, and thanks for the question. Yeah, well, I've just had a good friend of mine who we fished together a lot, John Pepper. He fished on the North Island just after Christmas, and I went to the South Island. They had a lot better weather. The climate on the North Island is arguably a lot more stable. So that's one advantage. I'd agree with Michael, fish numbers tend to be more on the North Island. I like the South Island because I know it. For me, I like brown trout, and there's some big fish there, but they're not easy. We had a tough trip this year, but combination of things which I won't bore you with just now. I mean, we caught some tremendous fish, but it wasn't fish aplenty kind of thing. You know, I kind of have a soft spot for the South Island. I'm not saying it's better, probably my preference, but already speaking with friends about visiting the North Island this next winter.
Well, Jonathan Tomlinson, he also has a soft spot for the South Island as well. I am absolutely loving everybody here, because what you're doing is that when people have asked a question, and I know the question about fishing for carp in Scotland was asked, we've already had that answered by Alan Liddell, and
that's great. I knew he'd answer that, and I was actually going to say, well done, Al. Take the pressure off me, kid.
Okay. And he's basically direct messaged David to actually share that. I know I've got Malcolm Anderson. He's actually giving people advice about where to go for big brownies in the hillocks of Scotland. So huge thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Answering these questions as well, because that's what this is about. It's about everybody coming together, have it over a mug of tea or coffee, and because it's too early to have anything alcoholic unless you've got brandy in that mug, as Jonathan Tomlinson said, Paul.
It's empty. Do you like it? It's a Scooby-Doo mug. Do you like it?
Oh, here we go. And I love the fact that everybody is answering questions, because this is all about everybody coming together at 11 o'clock and just literally just being the angling community. Now, Philippa Haig, she's come in with a question, and she said, from all the amazing places you visit to fish, Paul, where's your favorite destination?
Jeez, hi Philippa. God, can I have 3? Is a 3 allowed?
You can.
Or 4 maybe. It's going up already, you see. You give me.
Come on, pin it down.
The big 4 for me would be New Zealand, Iceland, Russia, and Chile. It's difficult for me to select one overall. I kind of like Iceland because I've done a lot of trips up there. I've got a lot of experience up there, and it's not too far to go. And I've caught some tremendous fish up there as well. So yeah, any one of them 4.
Okay, well, I'm about to show a photo in the stream. Okay, so tell us where this one is, Paul.
That's Chile, about 3 weeks ago, that fish.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And what rod were you using for that?
That was the NX1 9'6", 6 weight. Okay. 9 foot 6 inches, 6 weight.
And how? It's all right. I've just read an answer from Alan Liddell.
Yeah,
so I'm going to mention that, Alan. So, what kind of conditions were you fishing in, and what fly were you using, please?
Yeah, overall, incidentally, the places I've mentioned, it's always blinking windy there. I mean, Chile or Patagonia is renowned for being a windy place, as is New Zealand. Same with Iceland. So the conditions are invariably quite breezy. The good thing with Chile is a lot of the fish respond to terrestrial patterns, beetles. So several types of dry fly out there. We were there just before which obviously Southern Hemisphere, when we were there, whilst it's our spring, it's their autumn time. We were just coming into autumn. So some days we were getting hatches of upwing flies, but principally we were using terrestrial patterns for the bulk of our fishing. We did use nymphs as well. There were areas where we used nymphs, and on occasions we used streamers as well when we were in high water or dirty water, which thankfully we didn't experience too much. It was probably about, on that trip off the top of my head, 95% dry fly fishing, and the remainder split up between nymphing and streamers.
How many fish did you catch this summer?
I don't count, Anne. I like, you know what I like. Most people know what I like. I like big fish. What we tend to call trophies. Al Liddle will know this. I have this thing in the UK where, and a lot of my friends, because we're all sort of similar in makeup and what we like to target. For me, a wild brown trout over £3 is a special fish in the UK, and even overseas. And once you start getting into the heady heights of 7, 8, 9 pounds, you're talking serious fish. So I don't go for numbers, and I just enjoy my day. But I'm always looking for a bigger one.
Well, Stevie Munn, he's just come on and went class trout. I'm hoping to get Stevie.
Thanks, Stevie.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get Stevie Munn on in May, and to talk about his rivers in Ireland, because he's an absolute star. Lee Final said lovely fish. Philip said great stuff, and he might have actually going to be coming on as well. Gosh, I'm so pleased if he can. Alan Liddle, he said that's because you look like Shaggy with your mug. Chris Martin, you're looking for a company. We are FishPal, and I have a wonderful colleague called Tom Carter, who is just so knowledgeable. So I'm going to send you a message, and we'll get Tom to actually have a chat with you as well. And Gary Scott, he says, looking forward to a day on the river.
Hey, Gary.
Green light. Go Fish Morris, he said, Paul, you're a legend. See you folks. Whoop, whoop. Oh, gosh, I'm just going to, just a minute, everybody. Whoop, whoop. Pro the Mackenzie. And so also as well, Paul, saltwater, because I know with the Mackenzie rods, you were listening to your customers, and there was lots and lots of requests for customers to do something saltwater. When did you start designing your saltwater rods?
Pretty much at the same time. I mean, what Scott was looking at, he had the FX1 range, which, as you know, I'm sure he spoke to you about.
Yeah.
Incorporates graphene in there, which is a very, very strong sort of carbon fiber element. And we wanted to develop a range of FX1 saltwater rods, principally to be as indestructible as possible. So that's what happened. It's only a small range or series, but that's certainly enough. You know, all 8 foot, and we've got the 8 weight, 9 weight, 10 weight, and 12 weight. Took the prototypes a couple of years ago to Mexico and really give them. Anyone who saltwater fishes will know the kind of abuse saltwater rods come under. So really give them some stick out there. And yeah.
And also, as well as that, you caught bonefish, permit, tarpon, trevally, barracuda on all the rods, didn't you?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the good thing with where we go in Ascension Bay, it's quite a diverse fishery in terms of fish species. Admittedly, you're not going to catch a world record bonefish or anything like that. But if you want variety, then certainly Ascension Bay's got a massive variety. A lot of American fishermen I've met down there tend to be permit junkies and want to go for permit. Well, I'm still quite wide-eyed when I go down there, because it's once a year, and if it moves, I want to catch it. You know, well, what is it? Well, if it'll eat a fly, I'm gonna throw a fly at it. You know, and we get shark, and our guides now, we've got a great bunch of guides down there from Casovio Shark, and they're just so used to us in terms of what we want from our trips down there. So that's fantastic. That works really well.
And that's with Fly Odyssey, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And we're going to be having Jilly Bates. She's actually coming on.
Jilly's a class act.
Wonderful, Jilly. Now, Deirdre Smith, she said wondering if FishPal has any initiatives under lockdown for our junior fishermen, junior anglers, and also women. Just let you know that every week I do actually have a female angler coming on, and also every week we have a junior angler. So tomorrow's guest is Claire Haggis. We were running a competition over the weekend to win one of her beautiful catch and release ties, and we're also giving a FishPal gift voucher. And with Claire, we're going to find out about when she started fishing, and I'm also going to have 2 young anglers on at the end of this week as well. So every week, Deirdre, I'm getting a female angler on, and I'm also getting junior anglers on. So somebody's also asked, do you see trout fish, Paul?
Yeah, I've got a couple of my local rivers get sea trout in, and I like again, you know, I like catching them on the dry fly. We get opportunities at certain times, and sea trout, regardless, and a lot of people will tell you this, a lot of the boys out there and girls who fish for them, they actually feed in the river as well. So there's opportunities to catch them with nymphs, but I like catching them with dry. I've done the traditional sort of sea trout fishing in the evening and through the night on my local river. That's only 10 minutes from home, so it's easy. And I do dabble in it, but there's something quite sort of special and magical, and it's very visual, obviously, catching them on dry fly. And boy, do you know when you've got a decent sea trout through the day. I mean, they make you feel like a bloody beginner. You know, you hook one and they just go crazy.
Paul, what's coming next with you? Because obviously during lockdown, you are doing quite a few different things at the moment, aren't you? What are you doing at the moment during lockdown?
Yeah, basically, I'm tying heck of a lot of flies, which give me an opportunity working with Semperfly as well in terms of help them develop some of their products, which again is really nice. They've not given me free rein, but involved with the team there. So we're just doing some product development. I think they're quite pleased because it's chained me down kind of thing, and we've been doing a bit of that this morning actually, as well. I've just been tidying up an article for the next issue of Trout and Salmon. I mean, Anne, I wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have pinned me down if it was trout season. I'd be, yeah.
Well, I've rung you up and you've gone, I've got to go. There's a fish for us.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So
talk to Jonathan Tomlinson about that. The number of times he's called me up, and Al Little, they've called up, and I thought, I'll take it. Blah, blah, blah. Can't. Fish are rising. Ching.
You've started your own videos as well.
I dipped the toe in the water last week. Yeah.
Good on you. So where can people find that video? I'm going to add the link to that video to this feed so people can see it. What's it called?
I think I posted it on across the social media sort of channels, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I had a good friend of mine, Richard. I think he lives in Holland just now. Met him many years ago in Slovenia. For some reason, he couldn't see it, so I uploaded it to YouTube as well, so he could catch that. Again, it's just time on your hands, and you want to sort of, idle fingers. So, been meaning to do it for a while, and just thought I'd put out there just a tutorial on tying flies. Nothing new about it. A lot of people are doing that, but it's just my slant on it, really.
Have you thought about doing a podcast?
I've done a couple with Fly Culture, and
what about your own?
I haven't got the technology or the time.
I
like a fishing rod. I like a fishing rod in my hand.
You have. Well, Melvin McDonald, wonderful to have Melvin on. He said, "Hi, Paul. We haven't met, but I follow your river trout fishing adventures."
Thank you.
So many people want to go fishing abroad, want to go fishing at the moment, and I know it's a huge struggle for everybody, and a huge struggle for you all as well. Don Palmer's come on and says, "Where in Slovenia do you fish?"
Yeah, Slovenia. I've fished a heck of a lot in Slovenia. Spent a lot of time down there with Kevin Smith from Slovenia Fly Fishing. Actually done some guiding down there for him for a number of years. So we base ourselves close to Mosna Sochi, just close to, the name of the town's eluding me just now. come on, Paul. It'll come to me in a minute, Anne, don't worry. But
well, just answer Don's question.
Tolmin, the town of Tolmin, and that pretty much you're on the banks of the Idritsa there. There's the Batcher, there's the Tolminka, and obviously the mighty Socha as well.
Well, what we're going to do, Paul, huge thanks for you coming on today. I am going to have a question and answer session just for trout. And I'm going to ask yourself and Alan to come on next month, and people can just ask questions about their trout fishing, their flies, etc. So will you come back and do a joint?
Absolutely. I'd first of all,
found out.
Yeah, well, look, Anne, thanks very much. I'd be delighted to come back, especially if Al was on there. It'd be certainly a good crack, and the banter would be really good. And yeah, I've sat on panels before, you know, at events like Sports Fish or wherever, and it's funny, like someone will ask a question and one of your fellow sort of panelists will answer it, and that clicks off something in your head. So it gets really juicy then. There's a lot of information coming in. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, well, and we're locked down. We don't know how lockdown's going to be, how long it's going to be. So every day, apart from the weekends, because I need a little bit of time off, Monday to Friday, we're going to be doing a 11 o'clock live, and I'm getting guests. I've got all my guests for this week. And so every day at 11 o'clock, we'll actually have a guest. So you're going to come back. I know I've got Malcolm Anderson coming back. Alan Liddell hasn't even been on his own yet, and he's coming back again. So the lovely Alan Liddell will be coming on. And also as well as that, I think I'm going to ask Jonathan Tomlinson as well.
Yeah. Jonathan would be really good to get on. He'd be good.
He's a star, isn't he? So, and he says, well done, guys. Really enjoyed that. Keep safe. And I think on that note, sending everybody a virtual hug. Don't forget the fly tying competition. Send in your entries. It closes today. And tomorrow's guest is the wonderful Claire Haggis. So take care. Stay safe, everyone. And huge thank you, Paul, for coming on.
Look, and thank you for the invite, and thank you everybody for partaking. It's been a really, I can't believe an hour's passed. That's really enjoyable. That's fantastic. Thank you, folks. Take care, everyone. Be safe.
And Giorgio says hello from Italy. So we've now, so everybody is now putting in their thank you. Please put it on your stay safe, everybody, and just keep saying everybody. Just all of you interact, because we've got lots of good questions, and everybody's now starting to give answers back as well. So it's great, it's brilliant, and huge thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.